Safety and security of children is of great concern to parents. We want to create a place where parents or guardians can rest assured that their children are in great care when they bring them to Grace Youth. This requires us implementing a Plan to Protect program that will equip staff and volunteers to know how to handle various situations. The Plan to Protect program consists of a number of policies, both church-wide and department-specific, as well as concentrated volunteer staff training. Our reasons for having a child protection policy at Grace Community Church are to safeguard preschoolers, children, and youth of our church from abuse, protect the church staff and volunteer workers from false allegations of child abuse, protect the credibility of the church's ministry in the name of Christ, limit the extent of legal risk and liability due to any such allegations, provide a sensitive, planned, timely, and proactive response to any allegation or suspected incident of abuse. Our Plan to Protect is made up of 3 parts: onboarding, health, safety, and protection, accountability, and supervision. The student ministry staff will be responsible to verify that each potential volunteer has been thoroughly interviewed and screened. Ministry application forms. Each potential volunteer must complete a volunteer application. Reference checks. Included in the volunteer application is a request for 2 references. Examples of references that can be used are as follows: former or current pastor, another volunteer team member, current or former employer, elders, or other longtime church members. Keep in mind that those asked to give a reference should have sufficient strength of relationship to honestly comment on your personal habits and character. Interview. An interview provides the student ministry pastor an opportunity to ask questions arising from the application in order to get to know the applicant better. The information will be treated confidentially. The interview will also allow the potential volunteer the opportunity to ask questions about the student ministry. Background check, criminal record, and sex offender registry. We will run a criminal records search as well as check the nationwide sex offender registry on anyone 18 years or older desiring to work with our students. Training. Anyone who works with students will be provided with the following training: Grace policies on preventing and reporting suspected child abuse, Plan to Protect, Grace emergency plan, training specific to the role they hold within the student ministries. We value the health and safety of our students and leaders at Grace, which is why we've set some guidelines for how we will do that. For sick or injured students, please inform a student ministry staff member of any sick or injured student. Medication. All medications prescribed or parent prescribed over the counter must be given to the designated staff member. Members of the ministry team may not administer any medication, prescription, or over the counter unless they have written consent from the parent, and then only the designated team member will be permitted to dispense the medication. Exceptions to the rule are inhalers to control asthma and EpiPens, but leaders should be aware that students are carrying these items. Anytime a team member dispenses medication, it must be documented. First aid. A first aid kit will be located in the designated area near students. Ask a Grace Youth staff member for this location. Please take the following precautions when dealing with cuts or injuries involving blood or other bodily fluids. Use gloves, available in the first aid kit. Ensure that no other students have come in contact with any of the blood or fluid. Bandage the injury, avoiding contact with the mouth, eyes, and ears. Carefully clean up all fluids using provided equipment. A custodian is usually on hand to provide a cleanup kit. Accidents will happen, and we need to be prepared in advance so that a proper response can occur. If there is an accident, stabilize the situation to the best of your ability without moving the injured party. Keep them calm and work to comfort and reassure the injured party. At the same time, send someone to notify the appropriate church leadership member. Do not leave the injured party alone. The student ministry staff or Grace staff will determine if outside assistance is needed, fire, medical, police, etc. They will also determine if it is necessary to call the parents. Controlling the area. The only individuals in the immediate area should be Grace staff, parents or guardians when they're available, and medical personnel. All other adults and students, no matter what the relationship with the student is, boyfriend, girlfriend, best friend, must be removed from the area. Adult workers will work with the staff in keeping students out of the immediate area and work to keep the environment calm. Transportation to medical facility. If a student is transported to a medical facility and a parent or guardian are not yet available, a ministry staff member of the same sex should accompany and remain with the student until a parent or guardian arrives. Follow-up. A staff member will follow up with the family the next day. Documentation. The accident must be recorded in an incident report and filed under the student's name. As students begin to trust you more, rely on you, and feel safe sharing parts of their life, they may reveal personal issues to you. If a student opens up and shares something with you, whether it's a secret, a sin, or another issue that is very serious, there is a proper way you can respond. Take a deep breath. Don't panic if a student reveals something big to you. Set aside any personal feelings of shock or judgment and focus on the student and the issue. Team up. You're not expected to handle big issues alone. If you aren't sure how to help the student, seek the help of the student ministry pastor. They can guide you through how to handle it with the student in a way that's safe, legal, and honoring. Show up. Don't let anything a student shares with you scare you away. Be there for the student. Make sure you continue to follow up with them, assure them, and point them to God. Go to God. Pray, and pray some more. Invite the Lord into the situation and ask Him to give you wisdom, discernment, grace, and guidance in how to handle what you've been entrusted with. Take issues seriously. Listen to what and how your student is sharing. Please do not attempt to handle them alone. There are certain issues that must involve the student ministry staff, family members of the student affected, and in some cases, the authorities or medical professionals. Communication with student. Clearly communicate to the student that you have a responsibility to get help in this situation, and this will include notifying the appropriate people what has happened. Let them know that there are certain situations that require you to break confidence for their well-being. Never promise the student that you won't tell anyone. Inform the youth pastor or ministry director. All communicated accounts of abuse or harmful behavior must be reported to the youth pastor or ministry director. File appropriate documentation. After communicating what has happened to the student ministry director or the pastor of student ministries, fill out the necessary report together. The church will be able to guide you through what steps need to be taken after. Leaders are to promote wise media choices. Discretion should be used in showing any movies and in allowing any video games when you are with students, in your home, in their home, at the movies, etc. When talking about movies, use discretion in the type of movies you are promoting. Permission. When taking students to a movie or showing a movie or TV program in your home, you must get permission from parents or Grace Youth Pastor for approval. Rating policy. Our general policy is to not show any rated R or PG-13 movies to our students, or to play any video games with a rating of teen or above. With careful consideration and under special conditions, exceptions can be determined by the Grace Youth Pastor. Websites. Before showing any movies, please consult the websites listed in the Plan to Protect documentation under Movies or TV programs. Physical contact with students will be age and developmentally appropriate. These guidelines and policies are recommended as pure, genuine, and positive displays of God's love. The following are displays of appropriate touching: side hugs, a gentle, conscious touch of hands on the shoulders, in a group holding hands to pray together, etc., handshakes, high fives, fist bumps, etc. The following are displays of inappropriate touching: touching buttock, genital area, chest or upper legs, any kissing, sitting on laps, back or shoulder rubs, full frontal hugs, piggyback rides, tickling, wrestling with the opposite sex. Leaders must never pursue romantic or flirty relationships with students, no matter the age difference. Any allegation or hint of sexual impropriety toward a student, anyone in middle school or high school, regardless of their age, or adult leader, is reason for termination as a student ministry team member, volunteers or paid. Leaders should pursue accountability in all settings for their protection and the protection of the students. Adults or leaders are never to meet in a private, unaccountable area, basement, bathroom, home alone, etc., with the opposite gender. Private conversations with students are best in public, where you can be seen but not heard. Adults or leaders are never to sleep in the same bed or in a room alone with a student. Adults and students must be clothed at all times when in a room together. Leaders should obtain parent or guardian permission when spending time with students. Parents should know where you are going and what you will be doing. All of the proper displays of affection and accountability policies apply to leaders and volunteers when interacting with adult teammates. Married team members should never be alone with team members of the opposite sex, married or unmarried. This includes driving, off-site meetings, in homes, etc. We are afforded many outlets and opportunities to connect and communicate with students. However, we must take precaution and use wisdom when reaching out to students through various forms of technology in order to protect the reputation of the ministry and leaders, as well as honor the parents of the students. Only individuals who are approved team members, small group leaders, and rotational volunteers for Grace Youth, not individuals still in the trial and training period of shadowing, should be communicating with students outside of ministry events or programs. Approved Grace Youth team members should seek the guidance of the youth pastor with questions or concerns that arise about communication with a student. In order to protect our small group leaders, students, and ministry against false accusations or reports, we ask that all of our small group leaders maintain and keep documentation of communication they make with students. Phone calls. Please keep documentation of the date and length of the phone call. Written note or letter. Please photocopy any postcards, letters, mail sent to a student. Email. Save copies of emails sent or CC the youth pastor in emails. Social media messages. Please keep or print any messages exchanged in DM. Text messages. Please save messages on your device. Special events. Anytime an event is scheduled that is meeting off-site, permission slips are required for each student participating. All events should be supervised by 2 or more approved Grace Youth Ministry team members. If both female and male students are attending, there must be both a female and male team member in attendance. Overnight events. Provide parents with contact information in the event they need to reach you or their child. Permission slips are required for each student. Must be supervised by 2 or more approved Grace Youth Ministry team members and gender specific to the event. Maintain control of your group at all times. Set expectations of behavior up front. Transporting students is a significant responsibility. All drivers must be 18 years of age and have a valid license and current auto insurance. The number of persons in the car must never exceed the number of seat belts. Adults may not drive students of the opposite sex in any ministry, anywhere alone. When driving students anywhere, you must obtain parental permission. As with many rules or guidelines, there may be exceptions. Talk to appropriate church leadership if you have questions or concerns, and we will do our best to listen and act accordingly. Please know that it is a privilege to serve God's kingdom in this way. We reserve the right to ask you to step out of leadership at any time, for any reason, with explanation.